Hi, welcome to Santos TV. With me, I have Cedric Russell. He's running for Ward 11.
Yes.
And we're going to learn more about him. So, Cedric, thank you for allowing me to do this interview.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So, what inspired you to run for Ward 11?
I grew up in this area. I've been here 33 years of my life. I grew up on the south side. I've dealt with the medical field in the south side. I dealt with housing in the south side. I dealt with crime in the south side. And I also have a lot of family here. And I want to change things for the people that are in front of me and change things for the people that are in back of me. And that's what I'm running.
All right, that sounds good. That sounds fair. Have you been outside? Have you? What are the people of your ward saying that that they want change, that they see? What is going on when you knock on the door? What are they saying?
The major thing that people are speaking about is housing and safety. Those are the major things that people are concerned about, and more job opportunities as well. Those are the major things people speak about.
Oh yeah. Do they say anything about the roads, the sidewalks, the trees maybe in the middle of some property or anything like that, ruin the sidewalk? Or
Definitely, the potholes are a major concern in our community because the way they're taken care of, and also, not to say too many trees, but the way our streets are not really drivable, and our sidewalks, but the city's doing the best that they can. That's what I can say.
Okay, so besides that, how do you see what's going on in the street with the ATVs, motorcycle, the noises? Do people complain about that?
Not necessarily, but there are some people that do complain about it, but in large majority, there's really not too much complaining about it.
So they don't have much concern about, people, driving the motorbikes and motorcycles, like speeding or popping wheelies or anything like that?
I believe that the noise, people want safety, and that's the major concern. If there's a large majority of people saying, I do know that there are people that are afraid of people getting hurt on the ATVs, the noise that it makes, and the trouble that some people on ATVs may cause while being in the street. So
Okay.
I am aware of that.
Good. So I'm going to back up a little bit more. I want to get a little bit of your background, introduction. So can you tell me a little bit, of your background? Things about you that we don't know. You went to school and and all this stuff.
Definitely. Like I said, I grew up in Providence. I went to Martin Luther King in elementary school. I also went to Flynn. I went to Nathan Bishop. I went to UCAP. I went to Central. I went to Hope High School. And I also went to Harry Potter, where I graduated. I did a little bit of CCRI, and that's my schooling. I grew up in church. Most of my life, my parents were both evangelists. My grandparents were really heavy in the church. They really obeyed God. My parents raised me to obey God, and at the same time, I grew up in the hood. I grew up in one of the most dangerous hoods in all of Rhode Island.
Wow.
Comstock and Taylor.
Taylor. Woo!
Yeah, it's one of the most dangerous
Yes, sir.
areas in Providence. And I also dealt with dealing with dialysis at a young age. I started doing dialysis when I was 16 years old.
So, dialysis for what?
My kidneys failed.
Okay.
My kidneys failed when I was 16. It was a real tough experience to go through, and I'm still going through it to this day. But I can deal with it a lot more better now. And it also taught me so much about systems throughout this whole world. If I would have never went through dialysis, I would have never understand how systems were being ran. Knowing that if the doctor gives everyone a transplant at my transplant unit, the doctor doesn't get paid, the nurses don't get paid, the people that make the machines don't get paid, the insurance companies don't get paid.
So they want transplant?
They really don't.
Oh, they really don't?
They really don't want to transplant people because, like I said, if they take care of the problem, nobody gets paid.
Oh, so they want to keep you on dialysis?
They want to keep you there because most people that come to dialysis are over 60 years old, and the way the policy is, at a certain age, they won't allow you to go on the list because the policy says that your body won't be able to handle the transplant. You know, so it's a revolving door, you know, and it's a terrible door, and that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to jump into politics.
So are you still on dialysis? I'm
still on dialysis 3 times a week. You know,
for that since you were 16?
Since I was 16 years old.
How can you tell us a little bit about that? How you mean, like, wow, why haven't you been able to get a transplant?
I got one transplant when I was 18, and it rejected within 9 months. You know, and ever since then, it was a combination of me being depressed and the hospitals rejecting me based upon my race and my gender as well.
Did you have insurance? I mean, I think Obamacare wasn't around by at that time.
But still, the insurance that I had, like I had Medicaid and Medicare, so there was no excuse for them not to.
Of course not.
You know, but it was more deeper than insurance, and I didn't see it at that time. I was being gaslit throughout my career in dialysis, and I felt as though like it turned me like very, very, very angry at the way that the systems were being ran, and people were just going along with it, and I couldn't wrap my own head around certain things, and I really started to try to understand capitalism. And the more that I tried to understand it, the more I would get upset about how we have to pay to live, how we have to pay to eat, how we have to pay to medical, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we have to pay for just to live. Like, and the better you want to live, the more you have to pay.
Of course.
And then being where I'm from, we grew up in poverty, you know? Like, my mom, she was working 2 or 3 jobs, but it still wasn't enough to pay the bills and then feed 3 kids. And my father was struggling with addiction. He struggled, you know? I got to watch a lot of like traumas and
violence and all this stuff.
All type of stuff, like violence. You know.
I mean, you know, being in dialysis for that long, I can't imagine. I know people that have been on dialysis, and you know, it's crazy, you know, and that's something that shouldn't happen, you know, especially, you know, if you have insurance, they should be able to take care of you. They should be able to get you another transplant.
At the same time, this is one thing that I just on my personal behalf, you know, like I said, like I was raised in church, you know, and I was looking at a government that really don't give too cares about me to take care of me,
right?
You know, and one of my greatest mistakes was not looking at who created me,
right,
and going down that avenue. And ever since 2018. That's the avenue I chose to take. Like I chose to take to pull on God as much as possible, and that's when things started to change for me, you know. And like I said, I was homeless. I was homeless on dialysis, you know. You know,
wow.
Gentrification became
yeah.
Came at my front door.
To Taylor, really?
If you go to Taylor Street right now, there gotta be 7 to 10 houses that are boarded up just on Taylor Street, you know. And one of my grandmother's house was the house that ended up getting boarded up, and that's why I would stay. Like if I really didn't have nowhere to go. And once
even if it's boarded up, you would have just went there.
Not if it was boarded up, because
right. No, I mean, if you're homeless, you need to stay in it. That's the house that you know.
But at the same time, like the way that neighborhood is, like there's an eye on that neighborhood, and if people were going in and out that house, the police, like they're gonna be so quick to be on that. So that wasn't an option for me.
All right, good. I mean, that's a struggle. You definitely, you know, I mean, I commend you, you know, for. I mean, other people I don't think will be able to handle the stress, you know, and for you to endure what you have, you know, on your lifetime with dialysis and poverty and violence and gangs, and you know, especially living in the worst place. Because I know Taylor, man. I seen things in Taylor.
Bro, like when it comes to where I'm from, like at one point the whole city hated my neighborhood because of the violence that was going on in my neighborhood. You know, we have a large presence of gun violence, and a lot of families are being distraught from the choices that a lot of people that I do know have made. At the same time, like systematically, there are situations that people were put in order to survive.
Wow.
And not just that, like I grew up in an era where the major beef started from two people dealing with the same female, you know? And that caused a huge rift and caused like a lot of people to lose their lives behind that. And I feel as though like if the people, like if there was an older crowd, not just the older crowd, but the police, because the police, they know everything that's going on in our communities to the point where they could post up things on the board. You know, they know who did this, they know what gang is this. Like if they was to actually come down and sit with the families, instead of trying to be so quick to antagonize this one to go get at this one and that one to go get at this one, and they give this gun to that one, you come over here and tell on this one, tell us. If they was to stop doing that and actually sit down,
go to the root of the problem, which is the family. Is, you know,
families, bro. Like nobody really wants to get out here and shoot, and
right.
They don't want to do this stuff. Even these kids out here right now, they don't really want to look behind their back. Like they really don't want to do that. But when there's so much pressure put on people, you know, just to...
I remember Tupac said one thing which I never thought about. He said that in the building that he lives, when he was kids, going to school, criminals, like real criminals, killers, were let out of prison and sent to that building that he was in. You know what I mean? So they were putting criminals with these children. So now these children have to forget school and everything else just to get a weapon and guns, you know, to protect the family from the criminal, and then they, you know, that they're trying, you know what I mean, that they're trying to escape.
Now check this out, right? That's just one aspect. Check this aspect out. In this area alone, right, how many elementary schools do we have?
This area, maybe one?
Nah, there's multiple elementary schools on this south side, right? Little kids, there's daycares.
Oh, well, daycares, yeah.
There's all different, especially on the south side of Providence, right? Now, like, I don't have nothing towards anybody, you feel what I'm saying? Everybody makes mistakes. But why is it that this whole area is populated by child molesters? Where all, like, the red line in the south side between these districts, when these kids walk home from school, this is where they're at when they come home from jail.
Wow.
And I don't think it's taken into full totality. I think that we look at one aspect of things and we don't look at the world for what it is.
And most of them, they're not even from Providence.
They're not from Providence, bro.
You know what I mean? They from other counties, other cities, but they send them right here to Providence.
In this area specifically.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, maybe they do that because this area has the homeless shelters. I mean, they're all located right here.
Yeah, but they also have a plethora of elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools.
They're not supposed to be near a certain feet.
They can't even be near the children like that, but it's set up that way.
Wow. You know, that's something that yeah, because si te go to another neighborhood, they'll kick them out.
They'll kick them out, you know, but in the south side, a lot of things are allowed here, and it's not just gun violence. Like, yes, I will speak on the way things are and they need to get better, but there's so much going on in our communities to the point where DCYF, like, we need a system where if children are being abandoned and children are not being taken care of, yes, there needs to be a system that's put in place to aid these kids to get through life in the most positive and most successful way as possible. Wow. What DCYF is doing right now, they're kidnapping kids and destroying our families. You feel what I'm saying? It's that when certain females or certain men are being told to do certain steps and they accomplish those steps, they still get obstacles thrown in their way so they can't complete. And housing is huge. If a person doesn't have housing, how are they going to take care of their children? And they
they take them away and put them in foster care.
Like how, and then you're not giving them no type of resources in order for them to get housed. So what happens to that family? You know, there's so much going on in our community that's not being highlighted. And I think it should be, like, even media outlets, Channel 12, Channel 10, they won't take no corruption. When the judge does corruption in the courthouse and the police don't do nothing, our news outlets won't do nothing, like there's nothing, anybody that won't do anything when it comes to certain entities that are in control in our society.
Wow. Listen, we have stuff to talk about that we're going to have to do like a second interview. We got so much story and so much stuff, seriously. You know, you just gave me some like, now, you know, we got to talk more about some issues, you know, and definitely some stories that you have that I would want to go through, right? You know, right now, we're doing the politics, but we're definitely going to get together and talk about some stories, you know, definitely things that you have been through, because you have a crazy story, man. You have a story that I think people need to hear about, because they never, you know, and not only that, the way you turn out, you know, a man, you know, a working man, you know, and now a politician, you know, looking to do good for your community, you know, after coming from hell, technically. Not many people who do that. People will like be frustrated and they just continue on that circle, on that cycle, you know, of, you know, what they learn. The streets, you know, which is all they learn. You know, exactly. You know, so for you to make the change, that's going to be another episode, you know, because I want to talk about, you know, what was your turn point? Why did you change? What made that to change? You know. So anyway, we're going to, you know, stick to a couple more questions about your candidacy. Definitely. So, ordinance. Do you have any idea, like, if there's any ordinance that you want? You know, once you know, if you become a city council, do you know ordinance? Do you have any idea?
Very few. I don't like. I still need the.
That's fine. I mean, you could still, you know, they still have time to think about it and be like, you know, there's a few or whatever, you know, and I still, you know, not specifically, you know, which one I want to talk about. You know, still you need more time.
Bring it out, right? Like, what ordinance do you think? Like, talk to me. Like. I don't know things.
So no, I mean, there's things like they said you want to put an ordinance on, you know, let's say on the ATVs, you know, you want like have like
audience. This is the ordinance that I want to do. Like Leo Boy is huge for me. You know, like I don't think people.
The what?
Exactly.
Leo Boys.
Leo Boy. You know, it's the police. They have a bill of rights.
In didn't some states abolish it, I think, or Biden signed, I think.
To be honest with you, there's 13 states that have that police have the Bill of Rights in. Rhode Island is one of them.
Really?
There's a lot of states that have done away with it, but there's 13 states that's left. And what Leo Boy is it gives the police the ability to commit crimes and only get 2 days suspension with them.
Wow.
You know, and like I said, like yes, in our streets we do need to take accountability for the wrongs that we do, and there needs to be like consequences for what people do. You know, that's just the way of life, and that's what God would do. God would give people consequences for good and bad things. So that's just the way it needs to be. At the same time, it needs to be the same way for the authority. The authority is not God.
Right. You know, they need to be accountability.
There needs to be consequences.
That's why Black Lives Matter was formed, because they were seeing the cops were doing things in other states, you know, and they were being, you know, let go with a slap or not taken, you know, seriously, and people were dying.
Not just getting killed, and it's like we all know, like, these laws are to keep niggas in check. You feel what I'm saying? They freed slaves, you feel what I'm saying? Made Constitution, made laws right after they freed us to keep us in check. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why little Timmy can go do whatever he does, but when little Daquan does exactly what little Timmy does, he's gonna get the double punishment.
Of course.
And this is the ordinance that if this is an ordinance, I want to bring pure equality all the way around the board, no matter if you're straight, white, black, gay, purple, green, it doesn't matter. Everybody needs to be treated with love, respect, safety, and care. Because
there seems to be two justice systems from, you know, for different individuals, you know, one white, one black.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So yeah. So another thing, moving on.
Don't just forget white and black. There's a different justice system for men and women as well.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So if you're a black man, it's gonna be even worse for you. You feel? A white man's not gonna get the same thing as same thing with a black woman or a white woman. Like it's gonna be, but the white woman is gonna get treated differently from the black man. What she says is gonna go most of the time. So it's intricate.
Yeah, well, that's another issue that we'll get into all the time. And if you get elected, do you know what committee do you want to participate in? I mean, they got many. They got the financial committee. They got, let's say, DPW, which is public works, committee, which other folks that clean the streets and take out the garbage.
The same committees that Mary Kay Harris is on, those are the committees I'm going to join.
Okay.
So if you look up what she's into, you'll know exactly what I'm coming to do.
I see. And as we know, Mary Kay Harris also just announced that she's gonna run for her election. Are you prepared?
I'm really kind of happy though, cause before I came on the scene, she wasn't going to. She was gonna pass it to Dwayne Keys.
Okay.
But since she's seen how I was moving, I'm grateful. Like I'm real grateful that she sees that,
And are you guys are the only one running for Ward 11, or there's other folks?
I think George Lindsay might be running too, and it'll be cool to see George win as well. George did a lot for our community, and I'm real tight with his son, so it'll be cool.
Okay. So you know him and you know his son?
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll definitely have another shot. This is just the beginning, you know what I mean? So I want to thank everyone, our viewers, for sticking with us. SantosTV, this is candidate Cedric Russell, he's running for Ward 11. And Cedric, I want to thank you for being with us, SantosTV, and hope we'll definitely have another conversation, bring you over. You're welcome anytime, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right, buddy.
I appreciate you.
All right, Cedric, thank you so much. And like you guys see, Cedric here is running for Ward 11. He's knocking on doors. So you'll see him on the street, and show support.
Thank you.
All right, my brother. So SantosTV, and we'll see you another time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Cedric Russell. I'm a candidate for Ward 11 in Providence, Rhode Island, and I will be running. And please, guys, come vote for me. And my election is September 13th. God bless you all. Thank you.